What's good, everybody on YouTube? This is your boy Akil McLeod, and I'm a full-time eBay and Poshmark seller. And in today's video, I want to share 10 menswear brands that I don't pick up in thrift stores anymore unless I could pick them up for a great price. And when I say great price, I mean anywhere between 50 cents to $3. But if it's anything more than that, I usually pass on them. So if you're interested in these kind of videos, definitely go ahead and smash that like button and subscribe to the channel for future videos. So without further ado, let's just get right into it. So at first, when I was putting this list together, I was trying to think of brands that I used to sell all the time, but you know, the profit just isn't there like it used to be. And my list got kind of large, but then I wanted to really get, really focused in, and I thought to just do more menswear brands that I used to sell for really good profit, and that profit is gone. But the first one for me is Zegna. Now, Zegna shirts used to sell, I used to get sometimes even 40 bucks for a Zegna button-up shirt. But I think the market has just become flooded with these type of shirts, especially these dress shirts, and the money just isn't there. But like I said, if I can pick it up for anywhere between 50 cents to like $3, I'll definitely pick it up and I'll just hold it until, it eventually sells. But the thing is, with a lot of these brands I'm going to be sharing, just like Zegna shirts, they still sell, but they just take a very, very long time, at least for me. And like I said, the profit just isn't there. So topping the list off is Zegna dress shirts. And I used to get about 40 bucks, but now sometimes I'll be lucky if I get 20. And if I get 20, it might take me 6 months to get that. Next on the list is Charles Turbid. Now, Charles Turbid has dress shirts, blazers, suits and things like that. But their shirts used to do really, really well for me. I used to get like 30 to 35 bucks per shirt. But now, just like Zegna shirts, I'll be lucky if I get anything close to $20. And it usually sits for a very long time. Now, one thing that I can tell you guys is if you are going to pick up any Charles Turbid shirts, definitely look for more of the slim fit shirts, or shirts that are very, very large size. Shirts that are large size usually sell better on eBay and on Poshmark, and shirts that are slim fit usually do better as well. So the same thing goes for every brand that I'm about to list. If you can find shirts that are still slim fit, which is on trend, or just a shirt that is really, really large, like a 3XL or a size 19 neck, definitely be on the lookout for those, because those you might be able to get a little more money. But like I said, these brands just don't sell well for me, so I usually just pass on them altogether because they just take a very long time to sell, since the market is super, super saturated with them. So everything that I'm going to tell you, you just got to use your better judgment. But number 2 on that list is Charles Turbid. Now, next on the list is TM Lewin. Now, I used to love TM Lewin shirts. I used to pick them up for myself when I would wear them to work, when I used to work a 9 to 5 at the college. And I just like the fit, I like the style, I like the quality. Really good shirts. And I used to sell them anywhere between 30, sometimes as much as 40 bucks. But now, like I said, the market is super oversaturated with these dress shirts, so they don't sell as well as they used to. But if you can pick them up for a good price, you can get a really big size, definitely still pick it up. But just don't expect it to sell overnight unless sell it for really, really cheap. But like I said, you'll be lucky if you get 20 bucks for these shirts anymore, because there's just too many of them on eBay and on Poshmark. Next up on the list is Donohue. Now, when I first started selling shirts on eBay, I used to pick up Donohue shirts all of the time, and I would get at least $30 for these shirts, at the very least, depending on the print. If it was like a solid white shirt, sometimes I might get 40 or 50 bucks, and like plaids and colorful shirts, I might get 30. But nowadays, I just gotta pass on them. Not to say there's not any money there to be made, because sometimes there still is some money to be made. I was checking the comps recently, and I've seen some sell for about 25, but who knows how long that seller had that shirt in their inventory. Most of the shirts that I've done research on, they're selling anywhere between 15 and sometimes 20 bucks. So that just isn't good enough for me, especially if I'm paying sometimes $7 per shirt. Next up on the list is Paul Smith, and Paul Smith is one of those brands that I actually like the brand. They tend to have some good prints, some good fabrics. It's not bad, it's decent. And I actually sold a Paul Smith duffel bag last month for about 70 bucks. So that was a very good deal for me, because I only paid about, I think, $10 for the bag. I'm not exactly sure, but that was still a very good deal for me, and it came from Paul Smith. But when it comes to Paul Smith shirts, I had Paul Smith shirts sitting in my inventory for 6 months, sometimes as much as a year, that it was just sitting there and it was not moving. And they were good shirts, they were super clean, no flaws, but it just took a very long time to sell, probably because it had a lot on the market. It might not have been a good size, who knows. But for me, Paul Smith, anytime I see their clothes, I usually pass on it. I don't really pick it up anymore. Actually, I take that back. Paul Smith trousers, their dress pants, I usually do pick those up if I can find them for a good deal, because those usually has some decent money to be made, sometimes 25 to 30 bucks, so I might still pick those up. But in terms of dress shirts, always pass. Next on the list is Bugatti Uomo. Now, Bugatti Uomo, very similar to Robert Graham, and that brand used to sell very, very well on eBay and even on Poshmark. But nowadays, the value just isn't there. It's very hard to move some of those shirts because there's a ton of them on eBay and on Poshmark right now. So one thing that I could suggest to you guys to do is, if you can find a bunch of them in the same size, maybe group them together, maybe 2 or 3 that are very similar in style, but as long as they're the same size, that might help it sell a little better, because I've been seeing a lot more people start to bundle some of their Bugatti Uomo shirts together, and that has been doing well. So in terms of Bugatti Uomo, I don't pick it up anymore, but like I said, if you can get it for a good price, and if you could get a bunch in the same size and maybe do like a bundle deal, go ahead and do that. Next up on my list is Brooks Brothers. Now, Brooks Brothers, there's a million Brooks Brothers listed. Like, Brooks Brothers, people find these things and they just, you know, throw it up on there, and they just try to, you know, sometimes they might ask top dollar, they might ask 50 cents. Like, the market value just is so confusing, so I just stay away from it. I've heard some other resellers say they usually just pick up the non-iron Brooks Brothers shirts, and I've seen some of those sell as high as like 35 bucks, and then I've seen other non-iron Brooks Brothers shirts sell for like $5. So I really don't even know what qualifies a Brooks Brothers shirt to be more expensive than another. So anytime it's that confusing for me, I usually just pass on the brand altogether, unless it's like a Brooks Brothers like a cashmere jacket, or a Brooks Brothers cashmere blazer or something like that. If it's cashmere, I'm picking it up. If it's lamb's wool, I'm picking it up. But if it's just a Brooks Brothers non-iron shirt, or a plaid shirt, or a polo shirt, I'm gonna pass on that all day long. Next up is Fashionable. Now, I'm not sure if I'm saying it right. It might be Fashionable, it might be Fashionable. I'm not even sure how to pronounce it, but whatever it is, I don't even touch that shit. I've had Fashionable shirts and blazers in my inventory for so long that there's been a point where I almost lost it because I had it for so long, and I've just learned my lesson. I see it all the time in my thrift stores. They usually sell well in Nordstrom Rack. They're kind of expensive in stores like that, in Nordstrom Rack. I think they even sell it in Saks Fifth Avenue. But for me, it just doesn't have a very good value on eBay or on Poshmark. So anytime I see any of those shirts, I just pass on it all the time. Because like I said, I've tried it time and time again. I've checked the comps, and the comps usually look good, but for me, it just doesn't move, so I just pass on it. Next on the list is Thomas Dean. Now, Thomas Dean, I used to pick these shirts up. Sometimes I might pick up some of their blazers, and they used to sell pretty decent. Sometimes I might get about 40 or 50 bucks for a jacket, and then there were times I would get 25 to 30 bucks for a shirt. Nowadays, Thomas Dean, no matter what it is, no matter how big it is, I usually just pass on it because it just sits in my inventory for way too long, and unless I can get it for, like I said, 50 cents to 3 bucks, I'm not picking it up. Even if I get it for 3 bucks, that might still be too much because it's just gonna sit in my inventory. And my model, the way how I like to sell things, is I try to find things that sell within 30 days or less, and that's usually been working pretty well for me. As you guys that usually check out my thrift store hauls, and then you might check out my what sold videos, it usually, whatever is in my previous thrift store hauls usually sells fairly fast. So that's the motto I try to stick by. But when it comes to a lot of these shirts like Thomas Dean and Zegna and Charles Turbid, a lot of them, they just sit very, very long and they take a long time to sell. So I just usually pass on those. And last but certainly not least, the brand that I'm sure everybody was basically waiting on is Tommy Bahama. Tommy Bahama, unless I can get a shirt that has a nice embroidery on the back, and it's like, of course it has to be silk, but unless it's one of those type of shirts, I'm passing on it. If it's just a regular Hawaiian print shirt, definitely passing on it. Even if it's a 3XL, I'm still passing on it because there are too many Tommy Bahama shirts on eBay and on Poshmark. The only way I'm picking up a Tommy Bahama shirt, like I said, it needs to have a stitched embroidery on the back. Sometimes it says something like Hotel Paradise, or it might have a toucan, something like that. those still sell well. Those still get like $40 to sometimes $70 depending on the condition and the style. But other than that, I pass on Tommy Bahama all day long. Alright y'all, so that's all I have for today's video. So if you guys enjoyed that one, go ahead and smash that like button and subscribe to the channel for more videos. And if there's any brands that I may have forgotten, definitely drop it in the comment section so we could keep the conversation going. And if there's any brands that I mentioned that you guys still pick up, let me know if you pick them up and why you pick it up. Because for me, you know, I'm very picky when it comes to brands nowadays, because I like to try to move my stuff fast. And a lot of these brands, they just sit and sit and sit. So let's definitely keep the conversation going and comment below. And I'll just see you guys in the next one. Peace.